Google is Googling, which means they are changing things. Specifically, they're changing text ads, and they have three changes. One change I think is good. One is nah, we'll see how it shakes out. And one is not good, in my humble opinion. So I'm going to explain to you exactly what these changes are and how you can react to them. And my name is John. I am the CEO of Stub Group, and we are a digital advertising agency. We help businesses dominate Google Ads and make money online. So these changes that Google has announced are specifically to responsive search ads. These are the text ads that appear in search campaigns on Google. I'm going to tell you the meh change first because that's kind of the headline leader in terms of what Google has announced, and then I'll walk through the other two things as well. So Google is saying that for responsive search ads, which historically have had two headlines at a minimum, now Google is giving themselves the flexibility to only show one headline when they think that it will perform better than having the previous two minimum. It's kind of funny because this is taking me back to the old days of Google Ads, back when I got started in things, when you had standard text ads. You had two headlines, one description. Then from there, it went to expanded text ads where, you could have three headlines with the third being optional, and you could have two descriptions. And then we went from there to responsive search ads where you could have, again, still a maximum of three headlines and two descriptions, but you could write 15 different variations of headlines, 4 different variations of descriptions, and then Google mixes and matches between those. And so that's still the format that we have, but the output, what you actually see as a consumer searching on Google, now could simply be a single headline. So is that good or bad? It depends. From Google's perspective, they're saying they're only going to do it when they think the ad performs better with one headline. Now, what does performs better mean? That's kind of the crux of things, because generally what I see Google looking at in terms of picking winning combinations of ad copy is primarily click-through rate based. Now, there's not a ton that they share when it comes to the combinations they choose out of your responsive search ads. All they show you is how many impressions each combination gets. They don't report click-through rate, conversion rate, cost per click, things like that. But I tend to think that the primary thing the algorithm is going to be optimizing for when choosing between 1 and 2 headlines is click-through rate, which again, could be good or bad. That can be a good measure of the ad being compelling. Therefore, people are clicking at a higher rate. Or sometimes it means, hey, this combination is actually not good. It's getting the wrong people clicking and they're not converting. And so you might have a high click-through rate, but a poor conversion rate. So that's kind of where the meh comes in from my mind. We'll see how this shakes out. We'll see how often Google does or doesn't use the flexibility that it's giving to itself. It's also important to note that, if you are trying to communicate really important information in your ads, you only have one headline in which to do that, which can be really frustrating, I think, for some businesses. For example, we've had clients where saying something like new customers only is super important because they can't support existing customers. They only are going after new customers in whatever messaging they're promoting in their ads. And so you might have that in headline 2 previously. Now that might not show up. You can't really have that be headline 1 because then there would be no other part of the ad to actually tell people what the ad is. And so now you got to think through, okay, well, if only one headline is going to show up, that means that maybe the beginning of the description has to be no customers only in order to actually make sure that ad copy reaches it into the ad that I'm displaying. So there's things like that to think through. The second thing that Google has announced as part of this is that they are bringing what they're calling essentially headlines and descriptions that you can allocate across a campaign. So let's say you might have 5 ad groups targeting different keyword themes within a category or within a campaign, and maybe you're running a 20% off sale. Instead of having to go to every single ad and add 20% off sale to one of the headlines or the descriptions, now you can create basically a pinned or categorical headline or description that can display across those ads in all the ad groups in that campaign. That is awesome. That can be a big time saver. When we roll out sales for some of our clients, it takes a lot of work. When you've got lots of different ad groups and ads you have to write and rewrite and all sorts of fun stuff. So that is the good announcement that should make life easier and simpler. as long as people don't forget that they're running those, because they're going to be in a different place than the normal ads, and that's probably where we'll see people, out of sight, out of mind. Oh, I didn't realize I was still running that ad copy at the campaign level, and that could be an issue. The third thing, and this is the thing that I'm saying is not good, is that Google is now giving themselves permission to serve assets that they automatically created for you alongside of or instead of assets that you create manually. When I say assets, this is what used to be called extensions. So things like site links, callouts, structured snippets, the different pieces that can be added on to the core of your ad text, and which are very important. They can take up as much space as your main ad and have a really key part in what you're actually communicating in your ad. Now, the problem is that I am not a fan of many of the assets that Google automatically creates. This is not because I'm against automation and against AI. It's because I've seen too many bad assets in accounts that Google has automatically created. We see this all the time when we are doing audits for leads for businesses who are considering hiring us. We'll go in there and say, hey, did you realize that Google created these different pieces of text and these different links? A great example, I was looking at an account yesterday, and Google automatically created site links. And one of the site links was the client's login page, which had zero context on the campaigns we were running. We're targeting, new customers. We're not trying to get existing customers. We don't want to send people to a login page. We don't want people to click on an ad and, cost us money to get to a login page. Completely irrelevant. But Google's like, oh, hey, here's a link on your website. Let's make this a site link and let's spend money driving people to it. So I do not like that, and therefore I do not like that even when you have manually created assets yourselves that you want to display, that Google is allowing themselves to instead serve the assets that they've automatically created for you. Thankfully, you can still turn off the automatic feature that enables Google to run those assets or to create those assets. And we have a separate video that you can go watch that talks about how to turn off and which ones we recommend turning off and which ones you can leave on safely. So to recap, you've got the size of ads changing, going from 2 headlines always to sometimes 1 headline. We'll see where it goes. You have the ability to add headlines and descriptions across campaigns and accounts, which is great. Nice time-saving feature as long as you don't forget to go in and change them after your sale is running. And then you have automatic assets that Google creates that are running alongside of or instead of your manually created assets, which I don't like and do not recommend. So hopefully this is helpful to you. If you have any more questions or just want to talk generally about running Google Ads or other digital advertising channels, reach out to our website, stubgroup.com. We'd love to chat, learn about your business, see how we can help. Until next time, take care.